right. Looks like we're in it.
Well, okay, so I guess to start this off, and this is more directed for Noel, and then Alex, you're kind of the wild card, man, so I have a lot to learn about you, which I'm also excited for. On your Instagram, you go by Lil Kool Aid. If I were to tell my wife, hey, I'm going to hang out with Lil Kool Aid, we could be referencing Noel, correct? And that'd be okay?
That is correct.
For the most part. Now, I know you guys are a group now. Welcome, Alex, to the Lil Kool Aid project. Yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way. I didn't want it to be, a Hootie and the Blowfish situation where everybody's calling Darius Rucker Hootie.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys, you might even want to think about changing the name. I had an idea for you. Kind of like a Bob Marley and the Wailers situation. It'd be Lil Kool Aid and the Jammers.
Oh man,
that could work out.
I don't know. What do you think, Noel?
Well, I like the mystique of being Lil Kool Aid, having people expect a rapper, like actual rap, and they're just be like dummy heavy deathcore on it.
Yeah, dude, that's actually the part I liked about it, because I was like, oh, it's like satire, right? That's what it kind of feels like. It's like, here's Lil Kool Aid. And before I'd even listened to the album, like, obviously you can tell from the cover, like, this is probably going to be some heavy gent shit, was like my expectation. And I was like, it's called Lil Kool Aid, Going Ghost. But then when I started reaching out to you about Lil Kool Aid and, like, getting the rundown of what the EP is about, I was really surprised about how deep it actually went for you as an individual. You had mentioned you had PTSD and things like that, or diagnosed rather. And I mean, that's your business, but to use that as an outlet or a conduit to, create this EP, I think is really special. And I think that's what drives a lot of people into the metal scene in the first place. So, but before we get too into that, so we want to do this thing called the Super Metal Draft. Because I had noticed you used Featured X to reach out to like different artists and stuff to, contract them onto the album. So I kind of want to talk about that process, but I had this idea of the Super Metal Draft where, well, we can stew on this and then we'll come back to it later. Is I want you to think of what, like, your super, amalgam band, if you ever listened to Roadrunner United back in the day, how they just created all these super bands. That's kind of what I want to do, and I want to see what your guys' picks are. I already have my picks, so this is something we can come to at the end, and I'm curious what your guys' super band would be.
We were thinking of it kind of like DraftKings when we originally were doing it, like looking at the prices of people and seeing how much it costs. It was interesting, like some of the people on there, if you look at their price, it's like, oh man, like that dude's costly to get on an album. Even Stevie from Sold Soul, he gave us a rundown of exactly how they put together the album. Kind of like the same thing. It was kind of a solo album for him, and he used Featured X, I believe. I assume that's what he used to get other artists on. He said the who am I thinking of? Who's
Twisted Insane?
Yeah, Twisted Insane cost more than the whole entire album to put together. But that's crazy. That was a pretty cool drop.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I guess we can kind of get into what are we all kind of jamming right now. Obviously, Invent Animate.
Oh, yep.
I was about to say Grin, Gideon all had releases on Friday, which are all bangers in their own right. But for me, actually, the surprising one was Gideon is really, really good in my opinion. And then obviously, Invent Animate fucking slaps. What are you guys listening to right now?
Yeah, right now I'm listening to Invent Animate right now, like back and forth. That album, I've already listened to it like 4 times. It is definitely inspirational. It is banger. It is beautiful. It is like so many emotions that I can't even fit into one sentence.
There's a couple things maybe about the mix that kind of put me off. Like, it's really thick in the mix.
Very thick, yeah.
Where they're trying to kind of achieve like this ambience too. So I noticed myself having to kind of turn it up in sections, and then I'm just being blared out by the impact of like the drums and the guitars.
Right.
I would say that might be my only gripe about it, but aside from that, it's masterfully done album. I love it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, Noel? What are you jamming?
Woof. Tough one. Fun little backstory about what I listen to. As vain as it sounds, I listen to myself a lot. Sounds very terrible, but I am looking to listen to something. I listen a lot to my own music as a way to reflect, what's been created, by us, me and Alex, what we can create in the future, the things that I liked versus the things that I don't like. So it's still pretty fresh. The release is still pretty fresh. I released the album on my birthday, actually, December 31st of last year. So it's pretty fresh. It's only 3 months old, right? So yeah, I still listen to it a little bit, but I'm actually pulling up my Spotify to check out what I've listened to recently. I have listened to a little bit of Invent Animate's new album because I've been following them. Pretty nuts. Pretty nuts. Listen to a lot of Syncato, which is Charlie Robbins, who is my former guitar teacher. Yeah, a lot of my music is influenced by him, so I kind of just keep going back to that because he's just a consistent influence in my music. I listen to a lot of weed music.
Weed music, dude. Hey man, sometimes I'll be jamming that My Hero Academia soundtrack. It gets me pumped to work, dude.
Yo,
I've done it, bro.
Dude,
guilty pleasure, man.
The biggest banger I've heard in the last week is they took Mother by Danzig and put it over like old school funk music. They took the voice from it. Dude, it slaps. It's freaking awesome. I don't know.
I'm gonna have to hear that for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I caught it on Instagram somewhere, and there's that dude who does all the I can't remember his name, but he does all the reggae. Reggae
he
covers.
does all those reggae covers of like Die Artist Murder and metal bands on Insta.
Yes.
That's what it is. Yeah.
That
dude kills it.
But to answer the question, Archfire.
Ooh, good pick, dude.
Yeah.
Shrezzers.
Okay.
Which is very.
We just talked about them actually.
Yep.
Yeah, they are. Woo.
Yeah. No, Sex and Sax is like. It just it actually shreds. They live up to their name. They do a really good job with it. Someone led me their way because of the saxophone, because I was looking for some good saxophone parts, because Periphery got me like part the way there with Wildfire, and I was like, I want some more of that. So yeah, for me it's I got weirdly so a little history on me. I was in the military for 11 years, and when I was I was in Germany. I went to Iraq, did a bunch of stuff like that. So I might be able to, relate to some of the stuff we were talking about earlier. But I ended up kind of getting out of music for the most part for a while, because I just didn't have time to like listen to albums like I used to. I have like all this stuff. I started getting back into it, and like in the last 10 years, I have all that material to re-dig into and go back. So feeling like some of this harder stuff, because I used to be kind of metalcore, like Parkway Drive I thought was the hardest band ever before all that.
Not now.
Yeah, no today, not anymore. But so I've been getting into like some like progressive death metal, specifically like Fallujah and stuff like that. I missed all of Fallujah's discography, so wow. I get to dig into that for the first time now, and I'm like, whoa, like how did I miss this? And the biggest surprise of listening for me has been Dragon Corpse. If you haven't heard Dragon Corpse, like they have that power metal. So
you said that one was like, aren't they kind of like slam? They kind of blend into slam a little bit.
It's like Dio meets deathcore.
Okay,
it's exactly what it is. All the
so
high
it's Dragon Force but deathcore.
Interesting.
Yeah, it very much is. But they execute it really well, and they have like a good like. They're one of those bands, kind of like Bro Job or something, that has like that like they don't take it too seriously. It's fun for them.
Yeah.
So I thought it was pretty interesting.
Sure. Yeah. A good example of that is Hunt the Dinosaur, which we
just saw them.
Oh yeah.
Right. Did you?
Yeah.
I need to see them,
because they're actually Dallas locals. So they just played a show not long ago. It was in support of a local band that released their EP, and they came through. And I mean, dude, Hunter is fucking wild, man. Dude.
He's ridiculous.
I believe that.
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
I actually want to get him on a song. I've had like this idea in my head, and I actually have it on like a Google Doc that I shared with Alex. I want him on a particular song that I hope he'll be interested in. We just need to write the song first,
Yeah.
but I already have my heart set on him.
Dude,
Nice.
It would be really cool.
I can tell you for sure, like watching them live, like his vocal execution is so pinpoint accurate and so
Yeah.
on point. It's fucking insane, dude.
I
Like
believe
Yeah.
it.
when you listen to Hunt the Dinosaur, I'm like, I can't imagine seeing someone actually execute this live, but dude, he fucking nailed it. So
Yeah, he
you're
did.
in for a treat if you can get him featured. And you know what? We stopped and talked to him for a little bit. He seems like, just like us, just a regular ass dude, man. Super cool. So
Hell yeah.
speaking of which, have you guys listened to Sorrow Eater at all?
Sorry. Is that
Is
his
that
side
his
project?
that's a side project by Hunt, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
it is.
one's really good.
I've only listened to the single that they put out. I don't know if they have like any albums out or anything, but yeah,
I
they're pretty
think they
heavy.
have one album,
Yeah,
if
they
I'm
have a
not
prior
mistaken.
I have
album.
yet to check that one out yet.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but it's got like a really colorful dragon on the cover. Like it's a pretty badass cover.
Right.
And they just dropped Malvado is the name of that single. It's like has that like Spanish feel to it. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's really good. I
Very good
really
track.
I really enjoyed the like low distortion guitars and stuff. That seems to be like a trend that's going on right now. It's not really a trend. It's been going on for a while, but
Kind of
but
go
yeah.
back to what Noel was saying. Dude, Bleed the Future by Archspire. What an incredible fucking album. Holy shit, dude. Like and at first I didn't really I'm not a huge fan of like the rapid fire like death metal vocals, but that dude just does it. I mean, really the shining star is the guitar for me and the drums in that band, but we're excited because we're gonna go see him with Whitechapel.
I remember I watched a music video of just them performing one of their songs off of this album, and the way the vocalist was like, doing his thing, he was using a lot of hand motions. So in the way that it made me think that he's into rap. So
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I could be wrong, but it seems like he's into rap because of just his rhythm. His rhythm for his vocals are very symmetrical to rap, where like he's finding places to do his thing amidst all the chaos.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
top of all the chaos, like he finds a way.
But he
So
keeps the tempo through hand gestures, kind of like a Tech 9 or something like that.
exactly,
Facts.
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
much the same way that Hunter does it too.
Yeah,
Hunter
Hunter's similar.
has that same kind of flow.
But
I've
there's a
seen live
big
videos of Hunter. Oh, my bad. I don't mean to
No,
interrupt you
go
guys.
ahead, man.
Go ahead for it.
I've seen live video. I've only ever seen live videos of Hunt the Dinosaur, and just like watching the way that he executes his fast vocal patterns and stuff, the way that he's keeping in time with the drums. It sounds like it's very parallel with the drum timing almost, and it's just very sick. I love it.
Which I mean, you kind of. I'm sure Archspire's on another level with that, but like I feel like that's kind of the point, right? Is like,
Of course,
kind of forcing out those syllables along with like the snare and stuff. We are seeing a huge blend of metal and rap or hip hop influences. You're seeing it with Paleface, for example, and a lot of other bands which is kind of cool to see. I don't like all of it personally. It has to be done in such a way that it's unique, not just for the cause of it, but
yeah.
I would say
we're
overall,
seeing the better iteration of that because the new metal movement with all the rap, I felt like kind of failed at integrating it. It was more like a side thing, when like Korn did it and stuff like that, which there were some good examples, but they didn't integrate it very well. It was very like abrasive when it happened, they had to almost force it in. So I like that they're doing that. Since we're on the
forced. Yeah.
It did feel forced back then. Since we're on the subject of concerts, so if you've watched the show, we have this thing called Mosh Pit Legends, where we talk about like just crazy people that we've seen in the mosh pit. And so there's two things: there's mosh pit archetypes, which is like the typical people you always see in a mosh pit, and then you have the legend, who is like the unique legend, if you will.
Yeah, so, transcends the NPCs of the mosh, basically.
Yeah, you guys sound like you go to a lot of shows, so I'll give you an example for the archetype. I call myself the toe dipper because I usually in a packed concert, I hate being like standing like this. When we were at Paleface, there was like literally like you couldn't even move. There were so many people at that
Okay.
concert. So you got it. So I got to be the toe dipper in the mosh pit, so I have room. I got to be on the edge so I can get my space. And then I kind of go in, and then that show. I mean, Solaire got punched in the face twice. I got elbowed in the nose like immediately. They were going. That was a hardcore concert, so they were going at it.
Hardcore shows they punch people. So
yeah. you go at your own risk, man. The etiquette is a little bit different than your average metalcore or deathcore show for sure.
So if you had to give yourself an archetype, what would you be? I'll start with you, Noel.
Let's see. I've always had this perspective where I just never wanted to hit anyone. I never wanted to hurt anyone. Yeah. Right? The only times I felt like I really wanted to hurt someone is if someone was intentionally hurting people and that person hadn't learned their lesson yet. I wanted to kind of be the one to teach them that lesson. Hey,
nice.
Chill out.
Yeah.
Chill out. Right?
Calm the fuck down.
People get hit naturally. It's just like how it happens. But then there are people who go to shows to hit people purposefully. And I'm just like, you're a fucking loser. But I don't feel good about myself. I mean, like, I'm the one who's like starting to feel like vengeance, right? Like I'm about to do some Batman shit to this guy. Like, why are you punching people, right? I'm going to punch you because you're punching people. Like, feels a little self-defeating. But I would say my archetype would be, I feel like the bear of the pit. And when I say bear, I mean like I feel protective. So when I see little people, whether it's little women, little guys, young people, just trying to have a good time, it bugs me when there are people just doing somersaults and like attacking the edge of the pit and whatnot. So I tend to stand in front of them, not to obviously hinder their show experience, but more so to perhaps soak up some of those hits, right? Because I'll be fine, right?
Yeah.
I know to watch out for my face, things like that. A lot of people tend to not even come by me purposefully, right? I'm 6'3". I am 280 pounds. A lot of people do not come around me purposefully, You don't have to be able to see me like obviously they're dimly lit, like the pits and whatnot. But you can see my silhouette at the very least. I'm a big fucking guy. A lot of people say and I've had people come towards me just to kind of get a little bit of protection. So I would say I'm a bear in that respect.
Nice.
What about you, Alex?
Hey, I guess it just depends on whether I'm alone or I'm with a group of friends. Because with a group of friends, I'll definitely hop in a pit. I'll push around a couple people and stuff like that. When I'm alone and stuff, it has to depend. Like, say I went to this fight show in Las Vegas a while ago, and it was by myself. And I guess it has to be like at a hardcore setting for me to actually go ham by myself, because I was throwing windmills and like damn near somersaulting and stuff like that. But I was making sure not to hit nobody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
dude,
it definitely depends.
Out, man.
Yeah, I feel like it definitely depends on the band's energy for me to go all out. You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't know. I guess I would consider myself kind of a toe dipper, kind of a pit bear, similar to Noel.
Yeah.
But I'm not really sure. I don't have like a set like.
Well, I think it depends on the show. That's
actually
on the show.
It's pretty funny that Noel had kind of framed his answer that way, because you do see a lot of people that dude, I'm all about getting your aggression out. Just be mindful of others.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Watch your spaces. I don't give a shit if people crowd kill. Just, fucking, be considerate. But you do get these fucking people, man, that just like have absolutely no regard for others. And it is fucking irritating to see, for sure. And 100%. Actually, this kind of segues into our other little thing, which is known as the mosh pit legends, because I have a story. So obviously the mosh pit legend is anybody who transcends, becomes basically the VIP of the mosh pit that night. So kind of a similar situation. I think it was a Parkway, and Parkway back in the day, they always used to have, support a lot of hardcore bands. So I think it was like Stray from the Path, D's Nuts kind of bands with Parkway. Obviously you have these, scrawny, whirly bird fucking hardcore kids, that think they're hard shit. And,
want to be
just punching indiscriminately, basically punching people. And the other archetype, but he transcended into a mosh pit legend, is we call him Beefcake Bills. And they're just like kind of like Noel, like a big ass motherfucker, dude. That's not to be fucked with, basically. And I mean, this dude kept getting, hit upside the head. And, finally at one point he had just had enough. I think the dude had thrown like a pretty gnarly spin kick and kicked him upside the head. And I just watched this dude fucking like manhandle this dude, like literally held him on the ground like he was like folded him up into a fucking pretzel, dude, like basically into the mosh pit. And like the dude's trying to kick him, because he's on his back. He's trying to kick him off, and he grabs his foot and his shoe just comes right off into this dude's hand. And I just watched this dude just beat this motherfucker senseless in the face with his own shoe, dude.
That is funny.
That's
a
mosh pit legend,
yeah,
known as the shoegazer.
Yeah, the shoegazer.
That would be an example of a mosh pit legend.
Yes,
if you
so
have,
I beat him to death with my own shoes.
That is,
that was
fucking biblical, mate.
What movie was that? That was shit. It's eluded me now.
Don't hurt yourself, dude. Let's just keep it going.
Yeah, we can move on.
Actually,
anyway,
story that's kind of similar to that actually involves me. So I remember. So I'm actually from New Jersey. I've only lived in California for a little over a year now.
Okay.
So I'm in San Jose. So I think that's like definitely not SoCal. I think it's more North Cal.
Like above Bakersfield or something like that. We're originally from California.
Oh, okay.
So, we lived around San Bernardino and Anaheim. I mean, we lived all over the place because our parents were meth addicts. So it was always the moving around, and we're gonna start new, and it's gonna be different this time. But New Jersey too. I was gonna ask you about that, but go ahead and continue, man. With the mosh pit legend.
Yeah. So in New Jersey, I was seeing Lorna Shore. Can't remember the entire package, but I was seeing Lorna Shore. They're actually from New Jersey.
Yeah.
And this was years and years back when they actually had Tom as their vocalist, the now vocalist of Chelsea Grin. And so it was at this really fucking big local venue. And I remember one of the sound people had coffee on the side of the pit. Coffee. Now, to give you an understanding of why this was such an issue, so he's on the side of the pit. His nickname is Elmo. When you think of the nickname Elmo, you don't think like a big person my size, someone 6'3", 280 pounds. You think a small person. That's exactly what he was. A very small person. Like, he could pass as a toddler, right? And so he's on the side of the pit, a very violent pit, with Lorna Shore playing, like actively playing, with coffee, hot coffee. Obviously, he gets hit, splashes me, splashes the girl behind me, and I'm sure a bunch of other people. And so I immediately get pissed. I don't get angry very often, but it is just like the dumbest situation ever.
Yeah, like what the fuck are you thinking?
Why the fuck are you here? Right? Yeah. You should be in preschool. What the fuck are you doing here at a Lorna Shore show? How'd they let you in? Yeah. Right? I pulled him to the side. I'm just like, why the fuck do you have coffee on the side of a Lorna Shore pit? And he was like, and I just went into the pit and I just swung my fists, my limbs. I didn't care who I hit in that moment. I was just so fucking angry.
Yeah.
And that was that. I got my anger out. And that's my story.
Yeah, Coffee Joe.
I'll take it.
Legend.
Man.
Coffee Elmo.
Coffee Joe.
Coffee Elmo.
You got any, Alex?
Not really anything that is as crazy as that, to be honest with you. I only do remember going to this Animals as Leaders show. It was they were touring with I think Periphery.
Ooh,
and I think
nice.
I forgot the other band, but it was a pretty stacked lineup.
Okay.
And he was just trying his hardest to enjoy the show. And he was in the middle of the pit. He was like a 6'5" motherfucker. He was buff, bro. Like this bro was like gorilla mode the whole time.
Yeah,
I swear.
yeah.
And he looked like if you come near him, like he'd just push you and you'd go flying 10 feet type shit. You know what I mean? He's trying his hardest to enjoy the Animals as Leaders concert because they play some pretty transcendental ass music. So he's trying to enjoy it. There's like these little kids just going around trying to push him. You could tell he's visibly getting mad, bro.
Yeah.
And so like he just keeps going. He's trying to keep his cool. He's trying to like he's literally like looking at this fool to the left of him because he's like, I'm about to do something to these kids. He picks one of them up and just like lifts him like a fucking toy, bro. And he like screams at him. He's like, fucking stop crowd killing. Like, I swear, I shit you not, bro. Like, he's just screaming at him. Like, he just picks up this kid. He's like 5'5" or something like that. He just picks him up like he's some fucking doll.
It's like that meme where like the bigger girls like got the like short ass girl up against the wall.
Yeah.
That's exactly like that. So he tells him this shit. The kid looks terrified. Like his eyes are all bug-eyed. He puts him right back down. The kid just goes back into the crowd somewhere, and everyone just enjoys their night. It stays the fuck away from him, obviously.
Nice, yeah. After someone picks up a dude, you're probably like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna mess with that dude anymore.
Don't fuck with him. Hell no."
Yeah, well, I don't want to be held like a child.
It's crazy to me that like some of these kids that have like, I mean, no business really being in the pit anyways, given some of their stature.
Crowd killing too, especially.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude, is like, because it's almost like, I sit there perplexed sometimes. So I'm like, who the fuck are you? Like, especially because they do it like a shining star. You notice that? Like, they do it like they got to have their moment. It's like their little moment in the limelight to show everybody what they got, dude. Exactly. And that shit's so funny to me. But yeah.
I'll bring up mine. So I got to bring him up because he's kind of our boy now. So we went to go see, what was it? Within Destruction, Fox Lake, who else? Carcosa.
Victims.
And Victims. Yeah. I think there was another band there, wasn't there?
I'm not sure.
Doesn't matter. But yeah, so we were at that show, and I'm like, toe dipping, of course, and I see this kid, your typical scrawny kid, but he has a full out furry wolf like a costume on.
He was a furry. Yeah.
Oh, wow, he had a furry suit.
Yeah.
But I think this kid is actually like that's his life. Like he goes everywhere in the suit. And I was just like so impressed because it, it was a wolf. So like the nose came out and the eyes were like here. So there's no way this person is seeing around. And they did the wall of death. And I got a video on our Instagram of him. He's actually barking at everybody from one side. And they just go in. This kid disappears and comes out on top every time. It's like, that guy's blindfolded in the mosh pit right now and is killing it the whole entire time.
Okay.
So I call him Wolfkind.
Nice.
Is his name.
It must have been sweltering.
Pits dude, that kid had to be sweaty, man.
Dude, that's how you burn fucking calories, man. I was gonna ask you about New Jersey though, because dude, I hear that, or based on what I've heard, as New Jersey has a really rich fucking metal scene, dude. Am I right about that?
You're very right.
That's what I thought, dude.
Yes.
Like people actually come down from like upstate New York and shit to like be at New Jersey shows is like my understanding. So it's like, yeah, you have Lorna Shore that comes from there. Awaken Providence also comes from there. I think a lot of hardcore bands as
Sentinels
well.
also fall.
Oh, very nice, dude.
Yeah.
Fall.
Yeah. So was that like kind of a big part of you getting into metal, was just kind of being around that scene, or like what brought you, what was like that pivotal moment where you're like, this is my shit?
So my perspective for music when it comes to taste in music has definitely shifted quite a bit.
Okay.
Not so much in later years, but I would say it changed significantly when I was a senior in high school. So senior in high school, I was listening to like Breaking Benjamin, Sick Puppies, Linkin Park, obviously. And I remember I stumbled upon the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus.
Okay.
Now, you might think, oh, wow, that's not heavy or anything of the sort. But there's like maybe like 3 songs that had screaming on it. and I liked
Mhm.
everything so much. I liked the lyrics so much that I had some friends at the time who told me about As I Lay Dying, August Burns Red, Chiodos, a whole bunch of other bands.
Yeah.
And so I started to get into that. And then I remember during college, my first show was My Children, My Bride, The Acacia Strain, August Burns
Yep.
Red, I think one or two other bands. But yeah, so I started to get into it because I was open to it. And I also had just a little bit of a stepping stone, right? I had Breaking Benjamin. He
Yeah.
doesn't, he doesn't scream, but he does kind of dip his toe. Like they dip their toes in it a little bit. And then there's Linkin Park. There was already screaming in it. Like no one can deny that. My
Yeah.
guy
Yeah.
was screaming, right? So yeah, it was just more of I had some stepping stones. I got more into shows, as time progressed. Like maybe like when I was about 22, I just started obsessively going to shows, and I had like a whole bunch of people that I would recognize at shows and things like that. So yeah, it's a great scene out there. A lot of bands, a lot of brand new bands forming, and as you know, bands that are pretty prominent that are signed, touring across the globe and all that. Um, yeah, it's a great scene.
Yeah, we kind of have a similar thing as like we kind of grew up with like back when MTV actually played music, and my first exposure anyways was System of a Down when they played Sugar on MTV, and then it went to Slipknot and Kill Switch Engage, and it kind of snowballed from there. I guess I extend the same question to you, Alex. Also, I was going to ask you too. So, what's your role? Because my understanding is you did like production and drums for Lil Kool Aid, right? Is that
Yeah, for
okay?
the most
So,
part, yeah.
do you actually play drums, or do you just like do midis and stuff, or what's your whole role within Lil Kool Aid, and how did you guys get linked up?
So, I believe to give you a little background on the drums and production thing, I used to be in a couple local bands here in Arizona.
Okay.
One of them was called Below Aurora. You could probably find them on their Facebook and stuff like that. But the drummer, he used to have this full like he sold it by now, I'm pretty sure, but he used to have this big drum kit that I would just sit on sometimes and I would practice myself. So that's kind of more or less I learned from him, more or less from the homie, pretty much. I learned from the homie. And he taught me a lot of my techniques. He taught me a lot of what drumming is about, really, about playing in the pocket, stuff like that. The production came from because I went to a trade school called Crass, and I went there for about a year, and that was all about live sound and audio recording sciences. So
Oh, nice.
pretty much what goes behind setting up a live show, miking up a drum kit, setting up a mixer, etc. You know, all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So that got me just kind of like fuming with ideas. I was like, I could definitely turn this into like a not even just a career, but I could turn it into like a hobby and a career at the same time. So me and Noel, we linked up because I believe he had made a post about a song idea or something like that. And I was like, let me add drums to it because I already had the production or the programming aspect of it down. Like
Mhm.
I could program drums pretty quick,
Yeah.
Let me hop in.
according to Noel. Go ahead, bro.
Let me hop in. So Alex and I had been friends on Facebook for years, and I think we met through a mutual friend. His name's Cameron. And so I met Cameron, not even in person. It was just a random ad on like some metal page or something like that. And Alex and I became friends because I don't even know how, but we were mutual friends, just friends. We talked just a little bit about music every now and then. And then I remember I started writing a few of the Lil Kool Aid songs, and then I'm sure I did post about how I needed a drummer because I was missing elements in the production and whatnot. I only had a Guitar Pro, MIDI, right? Like I didn't have
Yeah.
anything to really turn it into a song. And I remember I kind of just sent Yamato to a bunch of people, and it was just like a MIDI version to a bunch of people, and I just wanted to get some thoughts because
Yep.
at that time I definitely had some imposter syndromes, like I don't know how I feel about this and all that. And Alex got back to me. He's like, "Yo, can I write drums for this? Like he asked me, can I write drums? I didn't know he wrote drums. I might have just asked him to do so if I knew he wrote drums, but he offered, and I was like, sure. It was exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's very, I notice, and I'll talk about it because, I mean, dude, I've got 4 pages dedicated to review on Going Ghost, man.
Hell yeah.
Nothing but good things to say about it, pretty much. But
appreciate it.
And then it's also, so you guys kind of know what we're getting into is, we kind of judge, especially because this is your first project, your first release. And to obtain the sound that you guys did with that, you guys, I mean, knocked it out of the park, in my opinion. It's like a sound that we're trying to achieve really with our own music. So it's kind of judged based on those merits, right? Now going forward, if there's, Lil Kool Aid drops their 3rd album and we reviewed that, we might be, probably a little more critical based on your entire discography, right?
Right.
But dude, for a first release, it's super stellar. Like,
thank you so much, bro.
Now, after the fact, are you guys kind of like full steam ahead on the Lil Kool Aid project? Are you looking for other members, or are you kind of just soaking everything in right now, like post release?
We are definitely working on our next release. We're working on a full album.
Okay.
This is going to be a collaborative effort between me and Alex. We already have a vocalist, vocalist homie. His name's Chris. He is going to be doing vocals for most of the album, but we also have like a few features that we want to do for the album as well. Yeah, it's really just full steam ahead. I very recently wrote the best song I've ever written, which I'm very excited about.
Nice.
So, yeah,
you tapped into the muse somewhere, huh? And you just brought out some gold. I'm excited to hear it, man.
Hell yeah, dude.
But I'm glad you liked the first release. That means the world to me. It really does.
Yeah, and I was really interested too in the little nuances, and like obviously you had talked about Tokyo Ghoul, how you were a poet basically writing 200 plus poems and all these different facets that go into Going Ghost, Yamato being a Devil May Cry reference. And then I was gonna ask too, I'm assuming Dark Magician is a Yu-Gi-Oh reference. Am I wrong about that?
Okay.
Okay. And then and something I was going to cover in the review, I really liked what I mean by these nuances was Dark Magician, you had Mystique featured on, right? Which is, I mean,
yep.
She's fucking incredible, dude.
She was amazing working with her.
Was she? Dude, is she pretty humble? I'm curious.
Absolutely. She was very nice.
Absolutely, yeah.
Was
she like, when you had sent her like the project or whatever, was she like kind of stoked on it? Like, yeah, I want to like be a part of this a little bit. Did you get any of that?
So a funny story for you. So I sent over the file over to her, the WAV file of the song, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna hear back, because you know how it is, or like when you try to reach out to people in the music scene, they'll either respond to you or they won't, right?
Yeah.
Or they'll respond, say, hey, I'm not interested, or hey, I'm busy, or here's my rate and you can't afford it. Yeah. But it was sent, we sent it to Mystique. We heard back relatively quickly. And we heard back from Josh, who is her publicist, or handles the marketing and all that type of stuff. And so, or the features. And so he said, hey, we just listened to it and we absolutely fucking love it. And Mystique said, hey, we could definitely add some stuff to this. That'd be great. And because we like it so much, we actually want to offer you a promotion for a little bit more. For a nominal fee, we can do one of those promotional videos where they break down, Mystique breaks down like the different layers, the elements that she adds to the song. Later, in the process, sadly, she wasn't able to do that. She's taken a different direction with her videos. Mm-hmm. But to hear that praise, to hear, hey, that it was phenomenal, that she really enjoyed it, really just meant a lot. And then obviously the final product was just fucking phenomenal. Because I felt like the song was missing something. It was missing the Dark Magician sound. you know?
That's what I was gonna get into because I felt like those. I don't know really what to call describe them as almost like Egyptian chords that you kind of heard like towards the end, and because you get those Yu-Gi-Oh vibes, right? Because that's a card-based game around Egyptian gods. So that's what I got. Those are those nuances I'm talking about. Like, so she really complemented that well. That probably in a way that I don't know if anybody else could have achieved, and I think it really shows in that track in particular, and that's actually probably one of my favorite tracks off the album.
Oh yeah.
Great. Yeah, like one thing about Mystique is that, or I guess piano artists, right? So piano isn't often used in metal unless it's like symphonic metal or something like that.
Right.
Often it's just like some part of the band, some member of the band using piano for a certain part, but obviously it's not a feature because they're part of the band. So the thing about Mystique is that obviously Mystique is featured because she contributed a lot to the song. She is, a feature. And whenever she has a feature, she's featured. It's not like, oh, it's such and such band and she made contributions and that
Right.
her name left off. Like her name is there,
Yeah.
which I definitely appreciated in the process. Her presence is there, you
Yeah.
know? And I'm starting to forget where I'm going with this, but it was great working with it.
Yeah, I got a question for actually both of you because this is for my own knowledge, I guess. So I've probably played guitar, God, 20 something years. I've never really had a band because I had a family and I'll just never had the time to really like dig into it. But I did start like actually, I saw some like a video by Trey Xavier that he said just like put the shit down, like record your shit, make a song, like who cares that you don't need to write the best song ever written, just write a song. And I found when I was doing that, I always start on acoustic because I've always, I do my fiddling on acoustic, and then I pick up my guitar and translate it. And I noticed like I would start out with some simple chords, a simple idea, and then as I was going through the actual recording process, that's when like those little like gems of something would come out where like I've never would consider myself a solo guitarist, but I threw down a solo out of nowhere that I didn't plan. I had no idea for. I was just jamming. I pressed record and I threw something down. And I was like, "Holy shit! I didn't even know I was able to do that." And then I was able to replicate it and get it down. And that's how a lot of things come to me. I'm wondering for you guys, how does that, how does your writing process work? How do you get those gems or those ideas?
So we are completely different. Alex, you want to go first?
Sure.
Yeah, talk about your
So
process.
my writing process, I don't really say I'm basically like I hit record on Reaper, and then I have my guitar like in my lap basically, and then I'll have say Archetype Gojira going or something like that for tone,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll just sit there and I'll doodle around for like an hour or something like that, 30 minutes, depending on how much time I have, and just depending on like on what sounds cool to me, I'll pick it out. I'll like learn the BPM of it,
And,
and then I'll just pretty much build upon that more or less. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll either make a
yeah.
skeleton and send it off to Noel to see what he thinks about it, and then maybe to see if we'll use it. Or sometimes it'll just be a completely random demo. It's just a bunch of
Yeah.
fight riffs stacked on top of each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's my process, though. Noel, I know he goes about it completely differently, though.
So for me, I'm a Guitar Pro guy. I open Guitar
Okay.
Pro. I
Guitar
do
Pro God.
everything. Yeah. I do everything in Guitar Pro before I even touch guitar. I pick the tuning, you know, I might even pick a title, and the way it works is Guitar Pro, pick a tuning, I pick the scale. People say that scale is not the same as key. All right, whatever. I'm still learning the difference between that, but I usually gravitate towards harmonic minor. So it's usually harmonic minor that I'm fucking with. And so I pick, the scale, and I just fuck around. I just fuck around, see what I come up with. I look up chord progressions online. I make them my own, or I have like little reference, you know, chord progression references that I reference, and I manage to make something. I'm more rhythm focused than melody, like for than lead stuff. So a lot of the ideas I come up with are more rhythmic, and then I start getting into the melody and the lead type stuff. But yeah, that's my process. Generally, I write things that I can't play. like,
You know
like
what? That's really interesting because I had heard that Tim Henson from Polyphia does it a very similar way, right?
Mhm.
In that he basically uses software to come up with these tracks, these just, insane fucking guitar parts, whatever it is. And then he just keeps playing it and playing it until he gets it. The manifestation is all computer based first. So he makes a masterpiece essentially, and then he challenges himself to learn how to play it, which I
Yeah.
think is a really actually innovative way to go about the writing process, in my opinion. I think it's
Definitely.
and I mean, he's trailblazing right now, dude. Anybody who would deny Tim Henson as an artist or an influencer is fucking insane. I'm curious who you believe is like trailblazing as far as an artist goes. Kind of where do you see the shift of metal going, and then what like are your major influences, if any?
You want to go first, Alex?
Yeah, sure.
I
So
know, I just fucking bukkakied you with fucking all sorts of questions, dude, so I apologize.
No worries.
Yeah, whatever you
it's all
want to.
good, man.
I saw that Alex's mouth was open, like he was about to say something. So I was like, "Go for
Yeah,
it."
dude, I'm just so eager to speak. Sorry. I'm just kidding.
I'm just
But,
excited to be here.
somebody I've been really just inspired by, and somebody that I would say is trailblazing, I guess in general, is Keaton Goldwire from Invent Animate, the
Okay.
guitarist for that band.
Yeah.
Dude, each album he gets better and better, and somehow his riffs get more notier and like crazier and more technical. But he writes with technicality in a way where it's not overbearing. You
Yeah,
know
it's
what I'm
not like
saying?
front and center, like it's
Exactly.
creating the atmosphere.
Exactly.
Is yeah.
He does it almost as an effect,
Yeah.
as a background effect type of thing. And then that mixed with the way that he writes ambience and just those beautiful melodies and stuff like that to go along with the crushing like chugs.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I think that's kind of the direction I see metal in general going, is just kind of to see what pushes the human limit. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like definitely. And I'm loving it. I'm loving every second of it that we're literally witnessing this in real time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's very cool.
Yeah, I would say to build upon the Invent Animate, because I'm seeing a lot of, what we've kind of noticed is we're seeing kind of two shifts, right? With
Yeah.
metal, is there's a lot of people that are either reaching back in time and bringing back old stuff and
Mm-hmm.
implementing it with new music.
Right.
You're seeing that right now with like Enterprise Earth and Boundaries, for example. And
True.
then the other half of that is you have bands like North Lane, Sleep Token, Invent Animate, that all have this really, I want, the best way to describe it is like a big sound. It's big production within
Yeah.
metalcore, kind of like blending into pop in a way. I would say that Invent Animate and Sleep Token are probably the best examples of it, that because I think a lot of metalcore bands are adopting this similar sound, but they're the best representations of it as far as just making solid bangers is within this sound. I think they're definitely blazing, and I would actually attribute Currents within that as well, probably. So it's interesting, again, it's interesting to see that we're reaching back in time to pull back influence, but then as time goes on, people just want bigger production and bigger sound, which is also okay, in my
Yeah.
opinion. I think both can exist. So I do agree with Invent Animate, and I think they're going to break through finally with this album.
Same, dude. Seriously, because this album is just banger on top of banger. They even have a song that's basically like a little lo-fi pop thing, you know. So I'm pretty sure that'll reach a certain type of audience that they have never reached before. So you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So
Noel?
Oh, go ahead, Noel.
Noel didn't answer any of them.
Where is it going? I have no clue.
Okay. Any major influences on?
My influences are, I would say, random. So definitely Sincato. Charlie Robbins, which is my former guitar teacher.
Okay.
He's a monster. You know, he plays a lot of low gain stuff. Doesn't play metal, right? He loves metal, like listens to a lot of deathcore and whatnot, but he doesn't really play that type of stuff. There's something about him, and I guess the 3 or 4 years that I spent with him learning music from him, that has left an impact on me. So I definitely really enjoy his stuff. I follow his stuff a lot, as well as his band, Artificial. I almost said Intelligence, Artificial Language. So definitely a huge fan of them. I would say my influences. Man, it's always hard to answer. Let me give it a critical thought.
Stew on it, man. Here's a good question.
Sure.
What makes a song great to you? Not necessarily your own, but like if you sit down and you listen to a song, let's say it pops off the page immediately. What are like the attributes of the song or something about it that you want to hear that makes it great?
Unpredictability.
Okay.
So
you probably fuck around with a lot of progressive metal then.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so with the Go and Ghost EP, that was my goal, to not be predictable, right?
Yeah.
You hear similar elements, you'll hear them slow down, you'll hear them, in a different way. I'm remembering one of my influences, John Brown.
Sorry,
who would you say?
John Brown from Monuments. So
okay.
He has like this whole approach where, and I try to implement this myself. In fact, Dark Magician is a good example of this. So what he does is he uses this thing called elite motif. I may be saying that wrong, but let's go with it. So what he does is he creates an idea and he chops up the idea and places it in different places. So it sounds like it's a completely brand new idea, but it's really just the same idea in different places in ways that you probably would not be able to really recognize.
So it's like a similar riff done in different variants.
Yes.
Kind of. Yeah.
Yes.
That was one of the praises I don't know if you guys had listened to the new Sold Soul album. I hope we make it out of this alive, which is fucking god tier of an album. But that's actually one of the praises with the riffs in that is they have a similar approach where they revisit these riffs and by the second or third time you hear them, they're just completely different from all the previous ways that they were played, whether they upped the tempo, whether they added nuance or speed to it or slowed it down. And I did notice those shifts within Going Ghost as well, and I do take it as a progressive album in nature. Like you do, I mean, obviously, like you have Acid Downpour, which probably, kind of sticks to a more traditional, but you even have shifts in that as well. And I mean, I love progressive metal. That's my shit. I mean, I just enjoyed it from front to back. So I say,
yeah,
that's the sound, whatever the Lil Kool Aid identity is, man. I mean, I think you guys are off to a banger fucking start with it.
Hell yeah, dude.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Yeah, we both have ADHD also, so that contributes to the madness. There's a lot of bipolar shit going on, so it's crazy stuff.
Let's see. I do want to come back to the super metal draft definitely before we leave.
Oh yeah, that's what I was going to bring up earlier. Is we should probably come back to it.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I'll give you an example, and I mean, you guys can go. It can be a Slipknot sized band with the super metal draft. I don't give a shit. In my favor, I've already had my picks, but as long as we do interviews, I want to make this a little segment, so I'm going to have to do this multiple times. So let me see. Okay.
I'm writing down my list as we speak. I got it.
All right.
So am I.
For my list, I have on Drums, I'm going to have Baby J, aka Josh Miller from Spite, and Darko on drums. For guitars, I'm going to have Josh Travis from Tony Danza and Patrick Sommele from Reflections.
Ooh, nice.
And on vocals, I have chosen Michael Barr from Volumes. So that is my super amalgam that I think would just write some fucking bangers.
Okay.
Barr.
All right, I'm
nice.
gonna go with mine. I didn't choose a bassist, so you have to.
Yeah, no. So my bassist was the Dingwall software.
Yeah, low-key bass.
Yeah.
So I think this combination would be crazy. We'll do 2 lead singers. Kyle Medina from Body Snatcher, got the shirt on. And then Hunter, obviously, from Hunt the Dinosaur, together.
Interesting.
Doing something. So you got that hardcore, just like downbeat style with the faster kind of like almost rapper style with Hunter. I think that'd be a cool like integration. I would do Misha on guitar, but I don't want Periphery Misha. I want
Haunted Shores.
I want Haunted Shores Misha.
Yeah.
On that one. And then he would actually be the rhythm guitarist on that. And then Jason Richardson as the lead.
I feel like you just picked like the most. I mean, I'm not saying it's obviously good, but it's very pumpkin spice of this super metal draft, dude. That's of course people are gonna
shit on my
it's the
team,
most
man.
basic bitch. I'm not saying it's not good.
If it was DraftKings, I would definitely be over budget at this point. And then my wild card for drums is Neil Peart from Rush. Him still to this day. Can you imagine that? That'd be weird. But
that'd be crazy.
Yeah, but Neil Peart, like, he's still to this day one of the most standout guitar or drummers that I've ever heard.
That's true.
You know Neil Peart when you hear him.
Yep.
All right, you guys got any ideas?
No, you got yours because I got mine ready. I just want to make sure.
I got mine. So
you want to go first?
Clean vocals, Mike Semeski. Mike did the cleans for Spite. He's also my vocal teacher.
Okay.
Absolute monster.
He did intervals for like an album or two, right?
Yep.
Intervals, Heart Machine.
Oh, that's right.
Glass Houses for a bit. He's in Raunchy right now. Yeah, he's the man. But for guitar, Charlie Robbins, aka Sincato. Mark Holcomb for guitar.
Okay.
Out of the 3 for free guitarists, Mark is my favorite.
Nice.
He's just.
What is it about Mark? I'm curious that you like so much.
You can tell Mark wrote most of the song when you listen to a Periphery track. An example of that is Scarlet. It's just fucking all over the place, melodically speaking.
Yeah.
It is very dissonant. It's just it seems to be his characteristic, and I'm a huge fan of it. I love chaos in music. So I would want that in my super group. And then as far as drums is concerned, Matt Halpern.
Nice.
And then for screaming vocals, I chose Hunter Madison, Hunt the Dinosaur.
Nice.
And then Bastion Kempe from Forgetting the Memories. He is, I don't know if you guys have listened to him, but he's an absolute monster. Very versatile and just kills it.
Nice. Yeah. Before we jump into Alex's, if you watch the documentary on Jen is Not a Genre that they released, so Misha, I think, wrote this, what was supposed to be a guitar part, but he did it in synth. And they were sitting like at the computer, and Mark was there with Misha, and he played it, and you saw him pick up the guitar, and it's the part off of Atropos, if you remember that song. That part that comes in that's super fast, like almost synthy guitar. That
you're talking about like the arpeggios, right? It's like
yes.
and it goes up and down.
Exactly. And he tries to like play it for a second because it was done on synth, and he goes, shit. And he looks at Mark and he goes, hey, Mark, you're gonna have to take that one. He's like, yeah. And Mark was like, I'm not doing that shit. And he was like, yeah, you're definitely doing it. He's like, it's gonna be your moment, man. You could put your foot up on the speaker and everything.
Right.
Yeah. So I think he ended up doing it. It was kind of a funny moment. But yeah, go ahead.
Funny as fuck. Yeah, dude. I guess my band would consist of Noah Sebastian from Bad Omens, the vocalist.
Okay,
he's really good. I feel like because of he's a versatile vocalist, dude. He can go low and high with the screams, especially with the pitch of his cleans. It's almost like he could do what he wants.
Yeah.
And then for guitar, I've already brought him up, Keaton Goldwire. Honestly, I feel like that would make a pretty cool little combo already.
Okay.
And then for the drums, the dude from 1056, his name is Arnaud Verrier. And then the bassist would be the ex-bassist from Northlane. His name is Alex Mailovic. He joined a really heavy band called Dealer recently. So I just feel like that group right there would make a really cool. I feel like that group right there would make a really cool, just heavy amount of bangers.
No, that's a really good pick for the bassist, dude. Because like bass, I actually really love bands that are bass heavy. I'm hoping that bassists kind of get their time to shine finally, because we are seeing a lot of bass heavy things. But like, Viljarda, for example, is I think a lot of people are taking a lot of influence from Viljarda, especially from a production standpoint. Everybody wants that, just like you can hear amidst the chaos, hear a fucking pin drop.
They're like
you know what I mean?
They're like the Korn of this time. So if you remember, like late '90s, everybody sounded like Korn. They had some like element of it in the new metal, the more popular stuff at the time. Like, and there were so many bands like Edema and all those bands that came around that were obviously trying to monopolize on that sound that they came out with. I really feel like that's Viljarda today. Like there's Thal in almost every album these days.
Oh, dude,
and,
that in the new Invent anime, was it False Meridian? Dude, that's a super Thal part. How literally it starts
the first riff is a Thal riff, dude. With that heavy ass bended note is crazy, dude.
Yeah, I think Alex's picks. I think you definitely get the most sales on that first album, because the Bad Omens guy, that dude is just like winning when it comes to like there must just be like little girls love him. Like, they really do. Like, I've seen all these shots of him doing like the the blue steel and all that stuff. Is like he's really getting
the blue steel.
Yeah,
it's the same look.
It's the same look. Yeah.
No, those were fucking fantastic picks, dude. And those always, part of the reason I asked that question is because there's clear influences there. It's like, okay, if I were going to make just basically in my head, what would be the greatest band, obviously in this metaverse of just subjective opinion, but it's always neat to see, like, to you, what would make, essentially a band you would want to listen to or be a part of. But aside from that, I guess from the music, what do you guys like to do beyond music? And if there's anything that helps you get inspired to music, what would those be?
Sure.
Noel, you want to go first?
Yeah. So for me, it's video games and anime.
Hell yeah. Same.
Those two are king. It's funny, like my mom really, really tried to, like, obviously be a mom, be a parent. She's like, oh, you're watching too much, TV, you're playing too much video games and this and that. And yet video games and anime are my main inspirations for writing music, right?
Yeah.
You might think, oh, it's metal. Metal is not just like metal is the outlet for me.
Right.
And sure, there are elements that do inspire me, but it's mainly like the stories that are told in anime and video games. And so that's actually what I try to do with music, tell a story.
Yeah. Well, and I noticed too, because it kind of goes back to, Spite, you said, was a song about Tokyo Ghoul, but you identified with it. So it's, you have these characters within, whether it's video games, anime, or whatever it may be, that you clearly identify with, and it's easy to be creative within that medium. I think, I do that. We haven't released anything yet. Our music is fucking trash, especially on my part, but we may be hitting up Alex to program drums for us. But anyways, I'm a huge fucking Dark Souls geek. I love Elden Ring, Dark Souls, all that. Obviously, I'm Solaire. But and I see a lot of people, there's like this whole wave of Elden Ring deathcore. I mean, those stories basically write themselves as metal songs, dude. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's And I think a lot of people do that, dude. Is like maybe it's not about anything or myself in particular. It's like it doesn't need to go that deep to be a great song, even, and it be a banger of a song. But
Right.
I think those facets of creation are always just very fascinating to me. Would you have anything like that, Alex, at all?
I honestly just agree with everything you said about video games.
Yeah.
Honestly, those are video games are very inspiring, especially the open world type video games too.
Yeah,
because where you can just kind of do whatever you want in accordance to your own decision. Which is just, I don't know, something I love about, like, especially butterfly effect games. Those are really sick.
Oh yeah,
But
for sure.
aside from video games, I would say weightlifting, to be honest.
Okay.
There's just something about getting in that zone of, like, after the first couple pumps, you know what I'm saying, that just gets you really inspired to not even just write music, but to just keep on moving, man. Keep on going with life, you know what I'm saying? So
Dude,
like,
you're on
it's a really cool thing.
2 scoops of pre-workout, dude. You're writing the hardest beat. You're writing the hardest beat down riffs you've ever written. Definitely.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. Some pretty cool hardcore songs can come out of a workout session.
Yeah, definitely. So Noel, I was going to ask. So we mentioned in the beginning that I'm the one who introduced Solaire to Ninja Scroll and Akira. I think my buddy lended me the DVDs and I brought them home and we watched them. So, but I've never really been an anime fan, and not because I don't like it, because I just have never been introduced the right way. And I watched like Cowboy Bebop, and it's just like it's a little too cartoony for me. You know what I mean? So, but I have no shows. I'm a sci-fi geek, and I watched what's that new The Last of Us, and that season just ended. I didn't play the video game, so I enjoyed the story. I know people who did were the other way around. So if you could introduce me to like 3 solid animes, you said if you watch these, knowing that I like Ninja Scroll and Akira, like those are my favorite movies of all time, what would you suggest?
I'm gonna jump in before he meant, because just don't say One Piece. We're not, dude. We don't have the time in our lives to get indoctrinated into One Piece at this point. I know
Solaire
never-ending story.
So I love One Piece.
I guess that's a manga.
Like I named my cats after One Piece character, Luffy and Ace, and I never recommend One Piece, not because it's not great. I just never recommend it because you already know about it. Like,
yeah,
why am I going to recommend something you already know about, right?
Yeah.
But I would say, based on that, I would recommend Mirai Nikki, aka The Future Diary. Super brutal.
Okay.
Very brutal. I think people forget that anime can be brutal. Of course, you got your early intro to that Akira Ninja Scroll, but there are a lot of recent animes that kind of keep that vibe alive. Another one would be Attack on Titan, and although I have my gripes with it, it is a solid, brutal story.
It is pretty brutal. I think my only gripe with Attack on Titan is, and I mean, obviously, I think they've pretty much explored the manga, so it's a pretty concise story. It's just one of those things where like it just keeps getting fucking crazier and crazier the longer it goes. It's like what started out as just giant naked people is now expanded way beyond. And of course they follow like the the tropes of like, oh, here's the main character that suddenly has Titan powers for whatever reason. But no, I would say that's a good one. And then also, on the other hand of that, I keep trying to get him into the actual manga of Berserk, which is
that's a very good
super well written.
Very
especially
good manga.
that first arc, like the Black Swordsman and then the Golden Age arc are super well done.
I got the first 4 sitting behind me. I just haven't actually picked them up and read them. I read them the wrong way the first time. Yeah. I guess the only 2 that I've gotten into, like, I don't even know if these would be considered anime, but the Transylvania series on Netflix.
Yeah.
That one was ridiculous.
Castlevania?
Yeah, there you go. Castlevania, my bad.
Yeah,
that's Transylvania.
That's actually, that was pretty brutal. The first season was ridiculously brutal. And then Invincible.
Invincible was good.
Ooh. That shit's great. I need season 2.
I need season 2
for sure.
That was the perfect superhero cartoon. You couldn't have done better with that.
Well, I love that arc of like basically turning I like the idea of Superman being fucking evil, right? And what that would look like. And you got like 2 iterations back to back between Homelander from The Boys and then Invincible, but they're like completely different ways to like approach like the Superman evil arc, dude, that I found really interesting. And then yeah, obviously I'm a huge comic book geek as well. So you had like, you know, the whole Injustice era of comic books and like the regime of Superman. Now I'm just trying to think of shit to say to keep you guys entertained.
Before I forget, the third recommendation that I have is Demon Slayer.
Demon
Demon
Slayer. I've
Slayer.
seen that one. Okay.
Demon Slayer. Woof. I read the
Fucking
manga.
rips.
Read the whole thing.
Oh no, I do watch Demon Slayer. Yeah, Demon Slayer is really good. I think the one thing I found funny was about that is like all the just unneeded exposition that was otherwise I love that show, dude.
Exposition.
But we're like, you know, it's like him like standing still in time explaining everything he's doing of like there's no need for it, dude. Like, but other than that, that is a really solid anime. I do enjoy that one.
Yeah, that's anime. Yeah, having to like explain what they're doing.
Fucking. So I guess what we can kind of end on is how deep are you into like the next Lil Kool Aid release? You think?
We have a few songs written. Alex has a project with a friend, the friend who is actually going to be doing vocals on the majority of the album, and they had some songs that they actually didn't release. So, you know, Alex was like, "Oh, well, we could do this," you know, and just rebrand them, you know, based on the theme.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then I've written at least 2 songs. So
and
yeah,
is this
so
one...
far we have a sorry, I don't mean
go
to
ahead, Alex. Sorry, man.
Sorry, my bad about that. But so far we have like what 4 songs in the catalog right now that we're using, and they're all shaping to be some bangers. So this album is
I believe it, dude.
This album is definitely going to be really crazy.
Do you guys? Is there kind of like? Because I'm wondering with like Going Ghost did you kind of set the theme for the EP after the fact, or did it kind of just shape and evolve? Did you have an idea of what you wanted to do, or did it just kind of become its own thing during the process of creation?
So the theme for this next release was actually before the EP. So some backstory. I wrote poems, you know, for I don't know, like 6 or 7 years, and they were all ghost type poems. So when I started actually writing music, the music for Going Ghost, my plan was always to release those, to write music based on those poems.
Yeah.
And release it. So Going Ghost was always going to be a stepping stone to getting to that ghost type platform.
Yeah. Gotcha. Thank you for your guys' support too. I think it was like a Facebook post or something, but I just remember we had made a post on Facebook about like sharing new music or something, and somehow Noel came into it as like, can I share my shit? And then you know, we're just like, you know, kind of expecting like, oh, this will probably be, you know, just some homemade shit. And then we listened to I think it was Spite. It was Spider Acid Downpour, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, dude, this is a fucking banger, dude. And then all of a sudden I'm seeing you just kind of blew up from that, right? Because now I'm seeing you on Hardcore Keem and shit and stuff. Dude, was that kind of like surreal? Like, or did you like submit it to Hardcore Keem and then did you guys, did you see like a noticeable like kind of blow up in people checking you guys out post like Hardcore Keem?
Definitely.
Yeah. He has a lot of reach.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
I think he was the basis for the Browning. I think we discovered that, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I think people like Hardcore Keem are very necessary, especially if they're willing to take the time to, you know, listen to smaller bands, you know, that are just trying to get noticed. So I think it's very necessary for like this whole wave of reaction videos. Yep. And I think kind of our role within it is kind of the same. We want to discover, you know, smaller bands and give them what praise we can. I mean, we have we're not doing you guys any favors by you being here today, so we appreciate you guys being here.
We appreciate you inviting us.
We appreciate you guys having us, seriously.
Yeah, so I look forward to Lil Kool Aid, dude. I look forward to, hopefully this blooming into a beautiful friendship down the road. And I hope
No,
to
for
see
sure.
Lil Kool Aid on tour sometime, dude, and just fucking getting rowdy at one of your shows. If that's a good question. Do you guys want to turn this into a thing like that, or is it just a passion project
I don't
as of right
foresee it.
now?
I don't foresee it going that route, as far as touring and whatnot.
Right.
But I may be open to 1 or 2 shows in the future.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah,
We'll have to
because
see for
obviously
sure.
you have like your career set up, right? And you would
Correct.
jeopardize that to make pennies on the dollar, if that, fucking trying to tour
Having
in this
people
climate. So
take
that makes sense.
percentages of my merch, like
Yeah. Oh,
and
that's a whole nother can of worms, dude. Is fucking
Yeah.
Jesus
We don't got time for
Christ.
that.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have you guys back on and we can shoot the shit about that. But
For sure.
yeah, and I would say, when you guys have like kind of an idea of like you want to say release a single that you're, happy with the state of, let us know. We would love to, premiere that for you and shit,
Sure,
and give
we'll
you all the
promote however
shout
we
outs
can.
for
Oh,
that.
yeah, definitely will do, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, thanks for being here. Noel, please give Mrs. Kool Aid my regards in spending time with us. Alex, it was great to meet you, dude.
Very great to meet both of you, man.
Yeah, just very excited for whatever you guys do next, man.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah, I can only mirror the same. Thank you guys for being here. And
Will do.
yeah, it was a great conversation, guys. Thanks.
Yeah,
Definitely.
dude,
very
I'm
good
really
talk,
happy
seriously.
with how this went, man. Just thank you for being chill ass dudes and coming on, dude.
Same for
fucking
you guys. You
appreciate
guys
it.
are very chill, very chill.
Yeah.
Very organic conversation, too.
That's kind of our goal, man, is like I didn't want it to feel like an interview,
Like it was forced or anything.
yeah, and that probably goes into, we probably kind of have to pick and choose like who we do these interviews with. Like if I think it's going to be someone just kind of uptight or out of their element or just, not excited to be here, which I mean, we've gone to like several, I won't mention names or anything, but we've tried to network within shows and be like, hey man, we'd love to have you on the podcast. And it's just like, yeah, sure, fuck off, basically. It's like, yeah, I could just tell that's just not going to be a great conversation the
Right.
way he dice it. So, no, I was looking forward to this a lot, and I'm really happy that you guys were our first feature as far as this goes. So,
Pop Solaire's cherry.
Yeah, happy to be your first.
Happy to be.
it was funny because leading up to this, my brother has a Rodecaster Pro that we were getting all set up, and we were testing shit out, getting everything set up, anticipating this, and then his fucking Rodecaster took a shit, dude.
Oh, wow.
And we're I think the day I'd hit you up, like saying like, hey, let's do it this time or whatever, and his Rodecaster took his shit, so he had to go pick up a fucking cloud lifter like today so we could try to do this.
Yeah,
so
it sucked.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess heart you guys.
Yeah.
You guys.
All right, you guys have a good night, man. Thanks for everything.
You guys have a good night. Thanks for having us.
All right.
Have a
you
good
guys
one,
have a good night, man. Thank you.
All right. Take
Nice
care.
talking to y'all.
Thank you, guys.
The water fills my lungs, you rain